Massive thanks to the mad lads and ladies supporting the channel. The doggos say thanks. Hey everyone, it's time for some Dragon's Dogma 2, and today we're going to talk about Nintendo completely dropping the ball. So here's what's going on right now. A Nintendo Switch 2 was revealed, and the prices were revealed. Now there's a couple of things that have happened since, and I'm just going to catch up on as much of what I can as I can. I'm very angry about this, and I am not getting the Nintendo Switch 2 at all. Before anybody calls me a brokey, before, we get anywhere, I have $700 in my account right now from half of a check. I can afford it. I'm about to spend $1,600 on a GPD Win 4, the 2025 edition, so that I can play Monster Hunter Wilds on the go at a frame rates and visual quality that doesn't kill my eyes. I can afford it. However, a lot of people cannot afford it. The problem with Nintendo Switch 2 is that I'm going to say that when it comes to, an inflation calculator, there's actually somebody who I have a lot of respect for, who pretty much uses an inflation calculator to be like, yeah, these prices do match up with what inflation rates are. That might be true, but, and there's a big but here, a lot of people do have a right to be upset. Not because of the prices themselves per se, but because a lot of people can afford it. Not because they're brokies, or they're bad with money, per se. I'm pretty bad with money, but I can still afford it. Because of how low my rent is, because of how few bills I have, and because of how well my job pays. And I'm lucky to be in that position, even if it is precarious at best. And I'm currently also saving up to get into a better position long term in terms of housing. The problem is that most people, and especially people who are in, less well-off countries, who are more disadvantaged, they won't be able to afford it because even though the prices have gone up with inflation, and if you look at just the rising cost of inflation and exactly how it matches up in a calculator with, the Nintendo Switch 2 and the games, people's wages have not gone up. People's ability to purchase has not gone up. And because of that, this is something that a lot of people won't be able to afford. And because of that, a lot of people will now be priced out of gaming in general, or at least out of getting all the newest games. And because of that, that is going to make gaming a more niche hobby, because fewer people are going to be able to play it. It's mainstream now, but remember, back in the 90s when the SNES had games that were $70, $80, $90, yeah, they had it, and then PlayStation 1 came around and standardized the pricing. This allowed fair competition between rivals, Sony, PlayStation, Xbox, Microsoft, and, Nintendo. And, this allowed fair competition without breaking the bank. Nintendo is basically saying, okay, this game is $70, but this game is $90. And they're doing that again, and that's not okay. And the reason why it's not okay is because people's wages have not gone up. People's purchasing power and their ability to buy things has not gone up. And this isn't the first time Nintendo has done this. The 3DS started at $250, and people couldn't buy it. And then they lowered the price. And here's to hoping they lower the price again. The problem was they didn't raise the price of the games. And, fair enough, they were also on a much weaker handheld. Unfortunately, now they're raising the price. This goes into the next thing. They are now raising the prices of video games. Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be $70, sure. But it's looking like Mario Kart 8 World, or Mario Kart 8, not 8 World, Mario Kart World is going to be $80 digital. And if the rumors are to be believed, $90 on the cartridge. The problem with that is that the game's not even going to be on the cartridge. And see, here's why Nintendo's doing that. In my opinion, based on what I've seen, what I've heard, and what I believe about Nintendo being a scummy company to begin with. Everybody's like, oh, Nintendo, Nintendo. But ever since AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake, that fan, remake of, was it Metroid Zero Mission, or is it Metroid 2 or something like that? Yeah, pretty much what happened was that whenever Nintendo shut that down, that's kind of where I realized, okay, while it's understandable, they went about it in a pretty scummy way. Like, maybe not necessarily there. I still had a bit of hope for Nintendo. I still kind of understood. But then they started going after all the Pokemon ROM hacks. And they just don't provide an explanation. They don't say anything. They just say, screw you. Go away. Legal costs, legal fees. We're going to sue you. Then they start, like, you know, then they went after Bowser. Fair enough. But then they went after him for like $10 million. And he's never going to be able to pay that off, probably. Unless he gets super rich. Which is completely implausible. And they're doing it to send a message. And then they went after Pow World over its, you know, Pokeball throw mechanic, whatever. And they're literally just doing a spurious lawsuit over a patent. What? Because Pow World can make a better Pokemon game than they can now? And they're doing it out of jealousy? And to try to intimidate them out of the market? Nintendo's a cutthroat company, and they're not doing this for the consumers. They're doing it to line their pockets, because they can blame it on inflation. Because Nintendo knows, just like the way, you know, none of the devs were raising the costs. And the reason why the devs weren't pushing the cost of, you know, everything that's been going on, or not the devs, the publishers, is because they knew that people couldn't afford it. They knew that wages weren't increasing alongside, you know, the inflation costs. And now that things are going up so much, that kind of... You remember when I said, Concord for $100? Yeah, we might get Concord 2 for $100. Why? Because of Nintendo. The problem with... there's a couple of problems with the $80 games. And the $90 games. It doesn't even have the game on the cartridge. First of all, Nintendo's trying to strong-arm you into buying on their platform digitally where they can't afford it. Let me provide a solution. Okay, so there's a couple of things. There's so many things I want to get it out right now, and I literally have like 5 minutes to get it all out. Nintendo was fighting against piracy. Do you know what's going to cause people to pirate stuff? You know, where do people pirate stuff? In places where they can't afford stuff, and places where they can't easily access stuff. That's when people pirate. Including myself. I pirated as a kid. I am not going to buy the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not going to buy From Software's new game as a diehard From Software fan. I'm not going to buy any of it. And the reason why is because I need to pretty much vote with my wallet and say, well, I don't appreciate Nintendo doing this to their customer base. And because of that, I'm not going to buy a Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not going to buy any of the games. If I get a Nintendo Switch 2, it is only going to be secondhand, and it is only going to be after the price goes down significantly. So it's probably going to be at least a couple of years. And because of that, yeah, like I said, I'm not going to be getting the Nintendo Switch 2 anytime soon. And Nintendo, what they can do if they want to prevent piracy is, one, keep their gaming prices standardized, and on top of that, what they can do, you know, keep them all $70, and on top of that, what they can do is provide us the games that we've been trying to access, instead of spending all their time, you know, trying to sue Power World for, what is it, $1 million or something like that, over a patent, because they're petty, and they don't like the fact Power World is doing better than them, and Power World can now make a better Pokemon game than they can even hope to make. Because Nintendo isn't suing Power World on copyright. They're suing them on a patent over the throw in the Pokeball. Let me remind y'all that Nintendo copied its Pokemon from Dragon Quest. That's where a lot of designs came from. Came from Dragon Quest. Let me remind y'all that Nintendo has copied patents as well. I think I remember the Lenovo Legion Go having a mouse mode in one of its Joy-Cons. Granted, the Lenovo Legion Go took the Joy-Con idea from Nintendo, but now Nintendo's taken the mouse idea from one of the Joy-Cons from the Lenovo Legion Go. It came out years ago. It came out 2-3 years ago. Nintendo knew exactly what they were doing. And regardless of which company came up with it first, Power World isn't the only one doing this. They're just the ones that beat Nintendo at their own game. And because of that, Nintendo's being petty and sued them over it. So, there is another thing, there's a couple more things I gotta mention. First of all, like I was saying, a solution to piracy and a solution to physical cartridges. People have been saying, oh, preserve physical media, we need to save our games. Yes, we do, but we don't have to have discs. We don't have to have cartridges. If I remember, there are specifically out there SD cards that have like 100, 1,000 games in one. Build us SD cards. Build us 500 gigabyte, 1 terabyte SD cards that we can download our games on. Honestly, at that point, I'd be fine with having us charged, you know, $50, $60 for these SD cards. Maybe even like $100, $150 for these. And then, after that, they can, oh, that's not good. And then after that, what they can do is Nintendo can basically charge us for these cartridges and then give us the ability to download our games. And then guess what, Nintendo? You're gonna have almost no piracy. Because people are gonna buy the games legit and then download them and have them preserved to their SD card. Their you know, proprietary technology Nintendo SD card, sure, but it's a Nintendo cartridge and it's used to download Nintendo games. And if Nintendo does that, then yeah, I'm willing to bet, I'll bet my left nut that piracy will go down a lot. And even besides that, you know, besides that, obviously, you know, don't make games $80, $90. You know, the problem is, even if Mario Kart World is $90, let me tell you, the next Call of Duty is not going to be $90. If it's anything like Modern Warfare 3, it's not going to be $90. Black Ops 6 was mediocre. It's not $90. None of these games are $90. NBA 2K26 is not $90. Madden 26 is definitely not even $60. It's like $40, $50 at best. And they're just loot box simulators. The problem with Nintendo is that they don't seem to understand they're going to have their market priced out and people won't be able to afford this. And now the floodgates have been opened. That's another reason why people's pissed. Because now everything is going to be $80, $90. Everything. Because that's what happened when everything went up to $70. And the reason why people are mad that everything is $80, $90, the reason why people were mad that everything was $90, or, you know, $70 to begin with, is because people can't afford it. People in low-income parts of the world can't afford it. People who are less well-off can't afford it. And even people like me, who's not a brokey, yeah, I guess I am technically a wage slave, but I'm not a brokey. I just spent $650 on some AR glasses so I never have to worry about a monitor again, because I want to do the whole van life thing. And because of that, yeah, it's like, yeah, I can afford it. I'll be able to afford it, but I'm not getting it out of principle, because I don't care if Dustbugs look sick as fuck, which is the only game I'd really get it for, and also Elden Ring on the Switch. What upsets me is that basically Nintendo has priced a lot of the gaming market out, and they're going to be stuck playing older games. It's like, again, if Nintendo provided us physical like SD cards to play these games on, you know, to download these games on and preserve our media, that would be great. Because honestly, digital storage will last much longer than disc will, more than likely, when it comes to like solid state drives. If Nintendo would keep the prices reasonable, they'd have a lot more customers. If people's wages could increase with the cost of inflation, then we wouldn't even have to have this discussion. And it's like, something's got to give, eventually. Eventually, either the corporations got to raise our wages, or, you know, maybe not necessarily mine, but the wages of people who can't afford things, or people just can't buy anything anymore, and then we're going to have another video game crash, because people can't afford to buy anything. And nobody seems to understand that. Nintendo doesn't care about you. They don't care about us. They've always been cutthroat. They've always been evil. And I've heard good things about Reggie, and there's another guy. There's Reggie, and there's another guy who's really customer focused and like, you know, oh, what will keep consumers going back? That doesn't really apply anymore. Oh, also, again, as I said, you know, once again, games not being on the cartridges, on the physical cartridges. Yes, it happened with the Switch 1. I didn't know that. I just figured that out, and I'm pissed that it's a thing now. Just like the, what is it? Fallout 76 come with a piece of cardboard with a game code on it. Yep, it definitely upsets me. It still pisses me off. But besides that, besides, you know, the whole thing with the cartridges, you know, the games being $80, $90, their whole issues with piracy. Again, guess what causes piracy? People not being able to afford stuff, because you're overcharging them out the ass. Wages are not going up. So something's got to give. Somebody's got to work together and figure out, like, what are we going to do over here? because it's like people just can't afford to play games anymore. And the problem with that is video games are all like a lot of people have. Video games are all I have. Not just in terms of a hobby, but in terms of like, you know, just stuff to cope. I don't want to do drugs. I don't want to be an alcoholic. I want to play video games. I'd rather have that as my addiction, because at least I can, you know, be a content creator and make something out of it. At least I can do something that'll give me a sense of accomplishment. A lot of these people who can't afford video games, they're going to turn to alcohol. They're going to turn to drugs. They're going to turn to other forms of coping with the world. They're going to turn to cigarettes. And it's like, yeah, because they're getting priced out of the market. Like, no wonder. And it's like, at that point, like, can you even blame them? Like, I guess technically you can over, like, self-control and stuff, but it's like, what do you do if the only thing that has kept you sane for your entire life, what do you do if you've never had friends, if you have never been cared for properly by your family, if you were neglected, if you were abandoned, what do you do if your only form of consolation, of coping with that reality, is taken away from you because you're priced out of the market? Yes, there is older games, but people play older games alone, 9 times out of 10. They play older single-player games that aren't really in service anymore, games that doesn't have a huge audience. They play them alone, and they're going to be alone. Like, yeah, there's multiplayer games specifically. You can be like, oh, just go to CSGO and be exposed to their gambling mechanics. Go to Dota 2 and be overcharged out the ass. It's mostly live services, and single-player stuff, there's just nobody to play them with. You want to play Elden Ring on the Switch 2? Too bad. Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Switch 2 is going to be like $80, probably. And if it's $80, you can get it on PlayStation 5 for $50, and it will look better. It will play better. It will load faster. And it's like I don't even know. There's just so much going on. There is one last thing I need to touch on, and I hope I can actually finish this video in time. It is the tariffs. When it comes to the tariffs, they actually did have a role in this. Not just before, but even now. A couple days ago, Donald Trump rolled out some more tariffs. Thanks a lot, you orange fuck. But, yeah, it's going to make everything go up in price. Nintendo Switch 2 had its launch delayed, and Nintendo is considering whether or not they're going to raise the prices again for a Nintendo Switch in the US. So, yeah, not only can people not afford it because wages aren't going up, but now with all these tariffs going on, everything is going up to a ridiculous degree, and people just can't afford it anymore. The cost of games going up is going to open the floodgates, and we're going to get Concord for $100 on a Nintendo Switch 2. We're going to have Monster Hunter Portable 6 on the Nintendo Switch 2 for freaking $80, $90, and if they keep it at $70, fair enough. I was fine with $70. Sure, a big AAA game, even on a portable device, deserves to have a AAA price if the quality matches, and Tears of the Kingdom's quality matched. It was a $70 game through and through. That was an amazing game. But things going up to $80, $90 now, they're pushing for $100. They want it to be $100. And at what point is it too much? At what point does it go from, oh, don't be a brokey, to, oh, wow, yeah, this is a lot of money. And then all of a sudden, you can't play video games. If you're a millionaire, this isn't going to affect you. If you're making 6 figures, like mid to upper 6 figures every year, this isn't going to affect you. But what about those of us it does affect? What about the people who've enjoyed these video games with you? For people who say, oh, don't be a brokey. Oh, just make more money. You don't seem to understand. Imagine what you enjoy the most, and then imagine having it taken away from you because you can't afford it. Try to wrap your wealth-infested little mind around the fact that there are things that most people can't afford. And some of it could be as basic as video games. Video games have kept me from going down a really bad path. I come from a very not good family. There's problems with psychosis. There's problems with dementia. There's problems with drugs and obesity. I am not a drug-addled, psychotic, morbidly obese person partly because of video games and them helping me cope with, not turning to food addiction. I mean, I did turn to food addiction for a while, but I'm working out and getting past that now. I'm actually making really good progress. But video games have helped me cope with being abandoned by my family, with being a friendless loser. They have helped me cope with getting through some aspects of life. I remember playing Elden Ring when it came out, and it was life-changing. I remember playing Dark Souls, actually even before that, I remember playing Dark Souls 3 when it first came out. I remember pre-ordering it. And when I played Dark Souls 3, it was a life-changing thing for me. And without that experience, I probably wouldn't be the same person I am today. My life could have gone a different route. There are certain video games that will help people through some really, really difficult times of their lives. And regardless of the games we have before, gatekeeping the future of gaming from people because, oh, don't be a brokey, is out of touch, degenerate, just disgusting behavior. And it shows how little you care. It shows how little empathy you have, and it shows how little you can grasp the concept of basic humanity and what people need to cope with certain situations in life. And it's just really hard to process the thought that there are people out there like that who do exist, who are so uncaring, who are so callous to the needs and wants of other people. Not just like, gimme, but, this is my hobby. This is how I spend time with my son. This is how I spend time with my friends. This is the only way I know how to socialize because I'm a friendless loser and nobody seems to care about me. That concept and how it affects people. Video games are how I personally bond with people. They are how I interact with people. They are how I coped with the reality of being a friendless loser. Because if nobody cared, at least these NPCs did. And at least these people on my team did. And at least I could do something that felt like it had some meaning in the moment. And if it gets to the point where that is taken away from people, it's just... the tariffs are causing prices to go up. But people's wages are not raising to match it. To match it. And because of that, people are just being priced out of gaming. People are being priced out of gaming. The tariffs are like 34% in China, freaking 30-something% in Vietnam. Crazy tariffs everywhere, 24% in Japan. And it's like, when is it too much? That's what I'll leave on. I'm not going to say anything else. When is it too much?